A very good afternoon. Welcome to Premier League Live this Sunday afternoon here on LFS. Sensational Sunday is what we're calling it here this afternoon because it is a massive day of action. 4 games kicking off at 2 o'clock for you. Our feature game at Villa Park is Aston Villa, who lost their winning run in the week in Europe. They take on a Manchester City side who are unbeaten in 9. Alongside that, league leaders Arsenal host a very tricky Crystal Palace at the Emirates. Bournemouth off with a cracker start to their campaign. They take on Nottingham Forest under new boss Sean Dyche, who got a win in Europe on Thursday night. But can he back it up with a big Premier League victory on the road? And then 2 sides that have ambitions of trying to stay in the league this year. Burnley a little more positive than Wolves at this moment in time, who's hit rock bottom of the table, do the Molineux side. That all those games kicking off at 2 o'clock, followed by our big game at 4:30 as Everton take on Spurs from Hill Dickinson. Right, our featured game this afternoon, as I said, is Aston Villa v Man City, our game of the week. But we will keep you right up to date with the happenings from all the other games as and when they happen. These are all our live score screen. We will jump to that whenever there's a big score in one of our other games. As and when. Already this weekend it has been dramatic in the Premier League. Leeds winning, Chelsea beaten by Sunderland at Stamford Bridge, Newcastle back to winning ways against Fulham, Man United thumping Brighton after that tasty end of that game there, and Brentford overcoming Liverpool. Now 4 league defeats in a row for Arne Slot's Reds this season. But to our 2 o'clock games, and let's start with Arsenal against Crystal Palace. We'll bring you team news from there now. And we will start with Arsenal. Leandro Trossard and Ricardo Calafiori, who were rested in midweek 1. They are both brought back into Arsenal's starting lineup this afternoon. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Zubimendi, Rice, Eze, Trossard, Saka and Gyökeres for Arsenal. For Crystal Palace, Crystal Palace boss Oliver Glasner brings in Adam Wharton and Daichi Kamada after the first start of the Conference League match with Ike Larnaca on the bench. Of course, they lost that game to Palace. So Henderson, Munoz, Richards, Lacroix, Gehi, Mitchell, Wharton, Kamada, Sarr, Pino and Mateta leading the Palace line. To Bournemouth in their game against Nottingham Forest this afternoon. Andoni Iraola makes just 1 change to the Bournemouth side that started last weekend's 3-3 draw at Crystal Palace. Veljko Milivojevic makes his second league start for the Cherries, replacing Bafodi Diakite in defence. Forward Enes Unal is included in the matchday squad for the first time since January. For Sean Dyche, he makes 1 change to the Nottingham Forest team that started Thursday's 2-0 Europa League victory over Porto. Nicolo Savona, a half-time substitute against the Portuguese side, replaces injured Alexander Zinchenko at left back, while striker Chris Wood also misses the game with a knee problem. To Molineux, Wolves boss Vitor Pereira makes 2 changes as he looks for a first Premier League win of the season. Keanu Hoover and Jean-Richard Bellegarde replace Matt Doherty, who is not included, and João Gomez, who drops to the bench. Wolves are bottom of the Premier League and 5 points adrift of 7th place Burnley, who they face. And Burnley are unchanged from that 2-0 win over Leeds last weekend. Lyle Foster replaces Ashley Barnes on the bench for the visitors as they look for successive victories to move away from the relegation zone. Those are the 3 other games that are kicking off at 2 o'clock, and our feature game between Aston Villa and Manchester City, where we can bring you the team news from there now as the players enter the pitch. And here are the starting 11s. Starting with the home side, Aston Villa, a 5-game winning run before Thursday night that was ended by the go-ahead Eagles there in that one. Big result for them in the Europa League. But Aston Villa looking to get back to winning ways in the Premier League, and they start with Emi Martinez in goal. Manny Cash has Riconza, Pau Torres and Luca Digne in defence. In midfield, Boubacar Kamara and Amadou Onana are in midfield alongside Morgan Rogers in the 10. On the right-hand side is John McGinn, the captain. On the left side is Emi Buendia. And through the middle, Ollie Watkins gets a start. Off the bench for Unai Emery's team, Bizot, Lindelof, Matson, Mings, Bogard, Barkley, Sancho, Gerson and Malen. For Manchester City, Gianluigi Donnarumma starts in goal. A back four of Matheus Nunes, Ruben Dias, John Stones and Joshua Gvardiol. Thierry Reinders starts in defensive midfield alongside Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, Oscar Bob and Savinho in that 3. And Erling Haaland leading the Manchester City line. 11 goals in 9 games for Erling Haaland this season in the Premier League. By far the top scorer, by 5 clear goals. He would love to add to that today. On the bench for City this afternoon, Trafford, Ake, O'Reilly, Lewis, Kovacic, Cherki, Doku, Gonzalez and Marmoush. No Rodri today for Manchester City. So, it is going to be a jam-packed 2 o'clock window of action. 4 Premier League games to get your Sunday off to what is a dramatic start. We're at kick-off at Villa Park and at Molineux and at the Emirates and at the Vitality Stadium. All next. A very good afternoon, welcome in and thank you for joining us. As I said, we will go to our sensational Sunday score screen if there are any goals from around the grounds, and we'll also keep you up to date with the action as I have the screen right to my left so you can see all the action, or I'll see all the action from all of the games at any given moment in time. And some very interesting ones to really keep an eye on today. Can Arsenal extend the gap at the top of the table? Can Burnley get away from that relegation zone after that positive result against Leeds last week? What about Wolves? Do they need a result? Yes, they do is the answer to that question, but will they get it? After that defeat to Sunderland last week, they need a positive result, and against the side who will also be battling relegation, they need one. What about Bournemouth and Forest? Will Sean Dyche get his first Premier League win, or will Bournemouth continue what has been an unprecedented start to the campaign for them? For Crystal Palace, well, we know what they've got on the cards. They've been fantastic this season, and they would love to pull off another scalping of one of the top teams if they can this afternoon away at Arsenal. But our feature game is Aston Villa taking on Manchester City. A reminder that all the players taking a knee this weekend and saying there is no room for racism in football or society. And we get underway then for this one here. This Sunday afternoon, 4 Premier League games, 8 teams in action. And the table will look very different at the end of today than what it has started as. And that's the way we love it. 2 very good sides. 2 sides in relatively good form in the recent weeks. City unbeaten in 9 in all competitions. Villa 1 defeat in their last 6. And a 5-game winning run before that 2-1 defeat to Go Ahead Eagles on Thursday night. So Unai Emery's side, a very different team than they were in the first few weeks of the season. And Manchester City, a very different team, the one that we saw really falter last campaign. Could they be back in the title race once more? A big result this afternoon. A big swing could certainly help them in that factor. We are underway in 3 of our 4 games. There's a bit of a delay between Bournemouth and Forest. We're not too sure what that is, but they will get underway momentarily. And we will bring you the updates from around the grounds as that one happens. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Just another Andy says, afternoon mate, hope all is well. Yes, I can't say my mental health is that great after last night's result, but we'll not go there this afternoon. Certainly not, because let's just not. Let's just not, shall we? Aston Villa against Manchester City, as I said, is our game of the week here this weekend on LFS. Of course, all 4 of these games followed by Everton against Spurs at 4:30 as well. Spurs right up in the mix at the top of the table. Manchester City with a win or a draw, depending on other results of course, could finish the day second in the table, but as close as 3 points behind Arsenal depending on the results. There's a long throw in there, cleared away by City, and the follow-up is fired well over the bar by Emi Buendia for Aston Villa. Yeah, see it here. Good long ball into the box from that throw-in. It's half cleared by Manchester City to the edge of the box for Emi Buendia, who takes it on the volley. And it's just over the bar, but a decent start from the hosts, who have a good record against Manchester City at home. They've won their last 2 home league games against City, 2-1 and 1-0 over the last 2 seasons. Actually, the home side in the last 5 of these meetings have been winners. 5 home wins, so the trend is in Aston Villa's favour this afternoon, but the form probably in Manchester City's. As Savinho down the left-hand side, first cross of the day, and it's straight into the hands of the Villa goalkeeper, Emi Buendia. Emi Martinez, sorry. Torres, out to the left for Digne. Caught in possession there was Amadou Onana. Tried to press it back, did Emi Buendia, but Manchester City will have the ball. Here with Foden. To Reinders. And Vardy all out to the left-hand side for Savinho. Manchester City in a very ugly looking kit, I have to say, this afternoon. It's ugly, to say the very least. It's like, it's grey with like luminous green. It's horrible. Anyway, Aston Villa on the breakaway here. A lovely through ball towards Watkins, who was just covered over well by Ruben Dias. Nice ball, nice opportunity, but well defended by Ruben Dias for Manchester City. It was a nice idea to find that run of Ollie Watkins, and he will be a threat, of course, no doubt about that, for Aston Villa. I think this will be one of those really close, tight affairs this afternoon. Although here's a chance for Bernardo Silva to get across, and it fizzed all the way out the other end of the 18-yard box. 3 City players in the middle, and none of them could get on the end of that. Really good run inside here from Savinho. Laid it out round the corner for Bernardo Silva at the byline, and as he cuts it back, there's 3 Manchester City players in and around the 18-yard box, and the ball's just too far ahead of them. And it goes right out the other ends. Keeping an eye on all the rest of the games this afternoon. Burnley had a long throw by Kyle Walker, the former City man, but it's cleared away by Wolves. And really, Wolves have had a terrible start to the campaign. Really terrible. They sit rock bottom of the table. The only side without a win this season in the Premier League. And as it stands, before kick-off this afternoon, they were on 2 points. That put them 5 behind 7 points Burnley, who are in 17th to start the day. It is a game they must win today, Wolves, because otherwise they could really be cut adrift from those above them so early in the campaign, and it certainly doesn't breed confidence. The longer they go without a win is more detrimental and damaging, as though they won the ball back here and they could be on the counter-attack. Wolves into the box in a simple gather for the Burnley goalkeeper. Just took a glance over and Wolves were on the counter-attack, but ultimately Burnley retrieved, but to no real danger. But still goalless in all of our games. Tiani Reinders had not a bad effort from around about the edge of the box there for Manchester City, but nothing to really worry about for Emi Martinez, the Villa goalkeeper. It's that long kick by the Villa man in goal. It was straight out of play for a Manchester City throw. Well, quick update from the Emirates. Still goalless between Arsenal and Crystal Palace. Of course, Arsenal leading the table at the start of the day, and they're around about the edge of the box here with Saka for the moment, but he was offside. Arsenal want to open that gap. If results go their way this afternoon, they could be as far as 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League table by the end of the afternoon. Here's a chance down the right side for City. Couldn't keep it in play. Oscar Bob just couldn't get it under his control. It goes out for an Aston Villa throw-in, but a decent idea from City, just not the right execution in the end. got to say, what a start for Nottingham Forest on Thursday night under Sean Dyche. That massive win in the Europa League against Porto, 2-0 victory on Thursday night. A great result, a win and a clean sheet in Europe against a really good opponent in Porto. It's a nice ball by Villa, finding Boubacar Kamara. Back to Matty Cash. And Ezri Konsa to Cash again at right back, who will fire it forward. Intercepted by City, but one back in the midfield by Aston Villa. Kamara brought down. No foul, says the referee. As Aston Villa have a bit of defending to do now with Haaland onto the ball. Just works it back inside to John Stones. Now Ruben Dias. And a little bit loose there from Foden, but he made it work to find Savinho. There's a ball through the lines towards Haaland. Nicely shielded and dealt with by Aston Villa again. It was Cash that time that made the clearance. Again, City come right back at the ball. A loose pass by John Stones. Allows Villa to have it back, but not much movement on the counter for now. Here's Rodgers. McGinn flicking it over the top. Watkins was in behind, but the ball was probably a yard or two ahead of him. Nice idea again to work the ball in behind for Ollie Watkins. But once again, the ball just ahead of the Villa centre forward. Unable to make the most of that situation. And as I said about Aston Villa's good home record, they've won their last 2 home league games against Man City. They last won more consecutive home games against City between 1960 and 1975, when they won 5 in a row in the league. So they're on a generational run against Manchester City or Villa. Down the right hand side it comes now with Oscar Bob for the visitors. Nice little jink inside, works it nicely to Foden, tries to return the favour, and the ball well cleared away by Luca Digne, who tracked it all the way, but nice idea between Bob and Foden. Here's Savinho down the other side, testing Matty Cash, and the cross was just too high and deep from Savinho, and a goal kick will go Aston Villa's way. No updates from around the grounds just yet. Still all goalless, but all the action. A lot to keep your eye on this afternoon if your team's playing. Remember our referee this afternoon here at Villa Park, Michael Oliver. Our VAR, John Brooks. Nice little combinations between the lines there from Villa. Onana out to the right hand side for Matty Cash. Not much options ahead of him as he works it back to Kamara. Again out wide to Cash, sorry. Again, no option down that right hand side for Matty Cash to try and target. City shielding the passing lanes of Aston Villa quite well at the moment. Not much room or opportunity to manoeuvre in between the lines, and almost caught in possession there was Onana, but he worked out of it well. It's Konsa. Plays it down the right for Cash. Now he lays it in behind, but Ollie Watkins again making a run, but that's the 3rd time Watkins tried to get in behind, and the 3rd time that a ball has been overhit by Aston Villa. That one was a little less of a threat. It was more to the right hand side, but it was still an opportunity. And a really poor ball in the end by Matty Cash. Just too narrow, too direct, and just too pacey. And in the end comes to absolutely nothing. Villa pressing high there against City, but nicely worked by Haaland to lay it off. Gives it to Vardiol. Now to Savinho as the rain starts to emerge. Just looked over again. Arsenal being offside once more. Clearly Palace are playing that offside trap this afternoon, and seems to have been working in the early moments as Bon Jovi at the Emirates this afternoon. There you go. Bit of celeb spotting. City just garnering some possession. Flick a ball over the top there, but so far too close to the Aston Villa goalkeeper. Bernardo Silva was the target, but that target wasn't found. Onana. Pressure. Reticent on the Villa players at the moment. No let off. As Luka Dean's ball was again to no one but City players. They try and win it back with a press there from Camera, but again City just seemed calm and composed in and out of possession, and that's a nice ball towards Bernardo Silva, but his ball is nicely seen away by Ezri Konsa, and then it's fired well clear of the Villa box, as that was a little awkward defensively from Pau Torres, but he did get it clear. Here's Rodgers, nice little layoff to find Digne, and down the left hand side comes Watkins. Opportunity for Aston Villa here. Watkins against Nunez. Watkins working it back, jinking into space, lays it off to Rodgers, couldn't get his shot off, and Manchester City scramble it clear, but that was much better from Aston Villa. Really good play in between the lines and unleashing Ollie Watkins down that left channel. Starting to create something there. We have our first goal of the afternoon, and it's come at Molineux, and it's more bad news for Wolverhampton Wanderers. It is a goal for Burnley, and they have our first goal of the afternoon in the sensational Sunday score zone this afternoon. It is Wolves 0, Burnley 1, and that is not good news for Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are without a win this season and rock bottom of the Premier League table, and fellow battlers Burnley have taken the lead. Zion Fleming with the goal. Burnley would now go on to 10 points as it stands with 3 wins, and they would move 4 points clear of the relegation zone as it stands, with Forest currently drawing. But that is a big scoreline for Wolves, for Burnley, and a very bad one for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Wolves 0, Burnley 1. And Zion Fleming, the goal scorer there, his first Premier League goal. And Burnley have the lead, and they've looked a lot more solid in recent weeks, Burnley, under Scott Parker. Much more competitive, and I've got to say, all 3 newly promoted sides have been very competitive this year. Very intriguing to watch. And certainly no more than Sunderland, who started this afternoon in second in the Premier League. They jumped up to second after that big win away at Chelsea yesterday. Massive result for Regis Lebris's side yesterday away at Stamford Bridge. A massive result for Sunderland. 17 points out of a possible 27 for a newly promoted side is quite remarkable. And Burnley and Leeds could also join them. All 3 of them could win this weekend. That's a possibility. Sunderland have already done it, Leeds have already done it, and Burnley are leading. That's a lovely little touch here by Rodgers, and they're away. Here come Aston Villa. Buendia finds Rodgers. Beautiful touch, finds Watkins. Lays it off. John McGinn. Shot blocked. And that was a really good bit of creativity from Aston Villa, but it lacked the final cutting edge effort. Here's McGinn. Much better again from Aston Villa. Really positive. Even to the finest of touches, the touch from Morgan Rodgers on the edge of the box was fabulous. Here's Onana. Out wide on the left-hand side is Digne. Has to go back to Pau Torres. Seems like Aston Villa, who had a bit of a slow start to this game, have started to emerge and growing into it. Starting to create some half-decent chances against Manchester City at the moment. Martinez under pressure. Gets it back to Pau Torres, and he will flip it over the top. Beautifully taken in by Emi Buendia. And now McGinn, holding it up well. McGinn in his own half, looking for a target. Trying to find Rodgers' run. The bounce. Takes it away, but Cash was there, and he wins it back. Just relentless from Aston Villa at the moment on their press. Really nice. As I glance over to my left-hand side, and I see a bit of a kerfuffle at the Vitality Stadium between Bournemouth players and Nottingham Forest players. But we'll get back to that in a moment. As Villa cross, blocked to the near post for a corner. Mateus Nunes not happy. And it has been given as a corner by referee Michael Oliver, which Nunes is not happy with. We'll see again. It's definitely a corner. It's definitely a corner. I don't know what Mateus Nunes was arguing. There was no touch at all from Luca Digne. It was definitely a corner. So a corner to Aston Villa, left-hand side. An opportunity for Villa to make what has been good pressure in the last few minutes. Trying to create something a little bit more threatening. From a set piece, Luca Digne over to take the first corner of the game. Takes it short. It's fired towards the box and falls for Matty Cash, who takes the first touch. And the shot is tucked into the bottom right corner. Beautiful finish by Matty Cash. And Aston Villa take the lead. They've been pushing for it in the last few minutes. The corner was unorthodox, but it works out beautifully for Matty Cash and Aston Villa. And they have first blood here at Villa Park. Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0. Again, a short corner. It's delivered to the edge of the box, fired across the edge. Beautiful first touch by Cash, just to deftly take all the pace off the ball. And he fires it wonderfully with his left foot into the bottom right corner. Keeper no chance. City players watching it as it fires past them. That is gorgeous from the Villa right back. Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0, and that's a gorgeous, gorgeous goal. I have to say, Matty Cash is doing some hard work for Aston Villa. He set up that unbelievable winning goal away at Spurs. That fabulous pass that we watched last week. And now he's put one of his own into the back of the net. Quite sumptuously. And we said it, Villa had started to grow into the game. You started to see them threatening Manchester City a little bit more. And City not able to hang it off. And from a set piece, Aston Villa make their pressure count. Here's Watkins, holds it up well. Swings it out to the right side. Cash has acres of space here, and he tries to float it in behind towards Rodgers, but too close to Donnarumma on that occasion to really test the Manchester City goalkeeper on that one. Right, a quick look elsewhere. Still goalless at the Emirates between Arsenal and Crystal Palace. There's a very tight affair at the moment in that one. And there is still a bit of a scuffle going on. Here's a chance for Haaland. Straight at the goalkeeper. There's still a scuffle going on between Bournemouth and Forest. I have no idea what that was about, but I saw the players in a real gathering. So we see this opportunity for Haaland. Nice ball in behind, and he just toe pokes it right at the goalkeeper. It's not much of a threat there from the Premier League's leading goal scorer. He wasn't certainly going to beat Emi Martinez from that sort of position. I've got to say, that's really good for Mesri Konsa. Under all sorts of pressure in and around his own box, and he made it work beautifully. McGinn under pressure, and Villa win the throw-in. That's fantastic from Aston Villa. Fantastic. Under all sorts of pressure. and they still come away with a throw-in and get something out of it. That was Aston Villa's first shot on target of the afternoon for Matty Cash. And that's the one that found the back of the nets. Halfway through the first half, Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0 here at Villa Park. Elsewhere, it's Wolves 0, Burnley 1. It's the only other game that has a goal in it, and the other two are goalless. Bournemouth Forest is goalless, and Arsenal Crystal Palace is also goalless. Free kick for City. Foden. His cross is comfortably gathered. Emi Martinez. Here's Tiani Reinders. Back with Ruben Dias to Joshko Vardiol. Ruben Dias. Right to the left-hand side comes Savinho. Trying to get past Cash, but no way through. Matty Cash just recovers it, although he's given it away cheaply there to Savinho, who never let him away with it. And Savinho cuts it back across the edge of the 18-yard box. But again, no one there for Manchester City, and Rodgers retrieves. Morgan Rodgers trying to dribble through bodies, and he was slightly tripped as he tried to get through those myriad of City players, and he wins a free kick. Yeah, really strong from Morgan Rodgers. Holds off Oscar Bob, gets away through Grinders, who slightly trips him, and that is a foul. I've just noticed, from what way Villa are playing today, I can certainly see from their setup, they're just trying to bypass that Manchester City midfield. And pressure on their own box there on camera by Rounders, and it's a free kick to Aston Villa. That's a lovely little flick by Watkins, beautifully taken in by Buendia, and Nunez the pressure. Digne holding it up, finding Buendia, and works it back inside to Onana, who will fire it over the top for Rodgers. Morgan Rodgers out to this left-hand side. He's got Stones for company. Rodgers lays it out wide to Digne. Lofts it towards Buendia, who takes a nice touch. Again under pressure, still in this left channel. And Buendia having to hold off Matheus Nunes, and does so really well. And wanted a foul for a push, but he's just going to get the throw in. Is Emi Buendia. Another opportunity from a set piece for Aston Villa to test Manchester City. Digne will go short from the throw. Lifting it towards the box early. Cleared away by Reinders. And Cash was told to shoot by the crowd from about 40 yards. He was smart enough not to do that. We have a goal in one of the other games, as there's a player down holding his head for Aston Villa, but the referee hasn't stopped it just yet. I think he should stop it. And Emi Buendia is down. So while there's a stoppage, we can tell you about that goal elsewhere. It's come at the Vitality Stadium between Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest. We can tell you that Sean Dyche's era of keeping clean sheets is done at the start. His first Premier League game in charge of Forest, and he has conceded. Bournemouth take the lead, and quite audaciously so. Oh my goodness, that's a goal and a half, that is. Marcus Tavernier take a bye from the corner, directly from the corner. That is fantastic from Marcus Tavernier. Not a touch from any of his teammates. Directly from the corner. And it loops up and into the back of the net. That is quite Fantastic. So 1-0 to Bournemouth, and the goal has given them the lead, although this is there a VAR check? What? For what? What on earth? The goal stands, but I don't know what they were arguing, Nottingham Forest. Were they arguing that it wasn't a corner in the first place? Well, they possibly were, but surely you can't go back on that. Anyway, it is Bournemouth 1, Nottingham Forest 0. That was bizarre. And Bournemouth take the lead. Marcus Tavernier, directly from a corner, has given Bournemouth the lead. So it is still goalless. That is not the right scorelines, by the way, because Villa have scored. Yeah, it's still goalless in that game between Arsenal and Crystal Palace, and every other game has at least one goal in it that is underway at the moment. And while we come back to this game, we can tell you that Emi Buendia is going to be helped off the field here. He is on his feet, he is able to walk, but with a little bit of help, and that will be the end of his afternoon, which is a pretty sad end to the afternoon for Emi Buendia, but he is unable to move, and I think it's an ankle issue. He's taken his right boot off, and I don't think he's going to be able to... Well, he's not able to continue, but to what level? There's Jadon Sancho onto the field, and he's still tying his shoelaces as he was on the field, so that was a quick one. And Jadon Sancho was on in Emi Buendia's place. It's never what you like to see, a player having to go off like that. And a poor end of the day for Emi Buendia. But Aston Villa lead after 29 minutes here. And that great goal from Matty Cash from the second phase of a corner. Wonderful finish. That has given the home side the 1-goal advantage. It's a lovely goal, plucked out of nowhere, that. Rodgers now finding it to Sancho, who's still not tied his shoelaces, and John McGinn's played a beautiful ball through here to Watkins. Watkins into the box, can he lay it off? Sancho with his first involvement has a shot blocked. Still alive as it falls for camera. Now McGinn fires it just wide, wants a deflection, but that was much better again from Aston Villa. When they lift the energy, they are one of the best in the league, and that is a wonderful ball by McGinn. Lays it off to Watkins. Was he onside? Doesn't matter. Lays it back to Sancho. Sancho's shot was blocked. He laid it back to Camera on the edge of the box, who played it across to John McGinn, who took a touch and fired it with his left, and it took a deflection off the backside of John Stones, and it will be an Aston Villa corner. We have another goal at Molineux to tell you about, and it is going from bad to worse to bottom side Wolves, because Burnley have doubled their lead. We'll tell you about that in a moment. But here is a big corner for Manchester City to defend. Right hand side of corner, left foot. Header is brought down by Watkins, blocked, and he had the shot as well blocked. As Camera keeps it alive. McGinn trying to lift it in. Flicked away. And cleared by Manchester City with Foden. There was a call of handball in there from the Ollie Watkins header, because they were questioning whether a Manchester City arm had blocked that one. But the referee saw no issue, and I don't think John Brooks saw any issue with it either. So we play on. Right, there's a possible goal. There's a goal check at Molineux for a possible foul in the build-up to the goal for Burnley. And they are checking that and reviewing it, so we will let you know what happens there in a second when we have the final call. And the final call is a goal. So it is 2-0 to Burnley, and Wolves' day is getting worse by the second. But Scott Parker's had a great start to the afternoon with his team. They lead 2-0 away at relegation battlers at Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are rock bottom of the table after just 8.5 games really. Still a lot to go in that one, but they trail by 2 goals to nil. So certainly not the comeback afternoon that they were hoping to have here, Wolves. Here comes Sancho down the left-hand side. Lays it round the corner for Digne, who tried to cut it back to Rodgers, not quite finding his teammate on that occasion. And City able to clear their lines. Now trying to spring a counter with Savinho. Down the left-hand side, he got pressure by Matty Cash. Savinho's really poor pass. Nicely guided back to Martinez by Pau Torres. A confirmation of that second goal for Burnley on our sensational Sunday score screen. And Burnley lead by 2 goals to nil. Bournemouth 1 up against Forest, and Villa here leading City by 1 goal to nil. Still goalless between Arsenal and Crystal Palace. And we'll tell you more about the rest of those games as and when we have more details for you. So far here at Villa Park, it's been a lot of Villa play. They've actually been much the better side, if I to be honest, so far this afternoon. Their possession's been strong. They've not really had much of a threat from Manchester City. And so Villa are getting forward with ease at the moment against this Manchester City team, who just really unable to deal with the movement in between the lines from Aston Villa. See that corner. Ollie Watkins' header was blocked by a Manchester City player, but was it an arm? No, it was a very high leg. Goodness me, for Ruben Dias. Flexibility from the Manchester City centre-back there. Really well blocked. Well, Ollie Watkins' shot conversion rate is a all-time low in the Premier League at Aston Villa. His lowest of his Aston Villa career, 8.3%. His conversion rate this season. Just the 1 Premier League goal, and that was that quite unorthodox one where he chipped it over the goalkeeper from the first touch. Here come Manchester City. The offside flag up though. Camera did his job, but he didn't know it was offside, and it is an offside ultimately against Man City. Pep Guardiola won't be particularly happy with what he's seen of his side. They've had a tough run of it this afternoon. Remember, they've had a extra day's rest ahead of this one. Both sides were in European competition during the week. Manchester City playing on Tuesday night, so they actually had 2 days extra rest, Manchester City, than Aston Villa. They played on Tuesday night, did City, away at Villarreal, and Villa were away at Go Ahead Eagles on Thursday night. So a team that has played 2 days closer to this game than you. You're being dominated by them at this moment in time, and it's not been a great start at all for Manchester City at all this game. The only real opportunity, Erling Haaland's shot that was toe poked right down the throat of Emi Martinez, the Aston Villa goalie, but other than that, not been much threat from the visitors. Foden out to the right hand side for Oscar Ball, back inside to Foden, who tried to roll it towards John Stones, who made that run forward, but blocked by Villa. And again, every time City try and work it between the lines, Villa have players in the way, although this is a nice move from Savinho. Lays it off to Vardiol, hits it straight at his man and Matty Cash. He had a double team there, and now Vardiol went down in the box. It's a bit of a scramble. Villa can't get it clear. Torres, handball called, and they are going to give the free kick, I think, the referee there, for a handball. See this again, it's Cash, went down a little easily. Vardiol, little shove by Rodgers into camera, and then as they try and clear it, Ezri Konsa came off the arm of, I think, Bernardo Silva there, was it? That's not a penalty. Yeah, that wasn't a penalty for the push on Vardiol. It was barely a push. Nicely battled there by Camera. Sorry, Onana against Reinders, and it's going to be a free kick to Aston Villa again. Yeah, Shanaz, thank you very much for joining us. Still goalless in that game at the Emirates. Arsenal against Crystal Palace. Remember, Arsenal looking to try and extend the gap at the top of the table this afternoon. They will be top at the end of the weekend no matter what happens, but by which margin? Here comes Ollie Watkins for Aston Villa. Trying to work up in between the lines, lays it off to Digne. Tried to get the ball across. Gets it back, Digne. Nice Sancho. So it comes back away from the box. So Nana tried to thread it down the left channel, but nicely intercepted. And now Haaland trying to spring a counter, but well marshalled by Amadou Onana. And then a pretty poor ball by Boubacar Kamara. Was straight out of play. Now Manchester City have won 31 games and scored 101 goals against Aston Villa in the Premier League. That's only Newcastle. Only against Newcastle have City done that more. 32 wins and 106 goals. So certainly over the years in the Premier League, Aston Villa are one of Man City's favourite opponents. Certainly not in the last few seasons. We finally have the breakthrough at the Emirates between Arsenal and Crystal Palace. We talked about it. It was the only remaining goalless game from our early games. Well, it's not goalless anymore. As a yellow card's given out to Savinho there for a challenge on Morgan Rogers. By the way, we have that goal at the Emirates. Arsenal now lead by a goal to nil. Great ball into the box. It's kept alive, and a really good scissor kick by a Berrieza. Fabulous little kick into the bottom right corner. Wonderful goal. And the league leaders lead against Crystal Palace, which as it stands would put them 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. Sorry, 4 points clear with Bournemouth winning. So Eza 1 up for Arsenal. Here's Cash out to the right hand side for McGinn. McGinn with a cross, skimmed off the head of Rodgers and off a Manchester City player in Nunez. Behind for a corner. There's a penalty at Molineux. They're checking at VAR, but the penalty given on the field at Molineux for Wolves will get there in a moment. But it will be a corner to Aston Villa, which we will keep an eye on first. Referee pointed to the spot, and that call stands. So it is a penalty to Wolves, and maybe a bit of a lifeline for the home side there at Molineux. We'll tell you the outcome of that at the moment as that Villa corner cleared away. Back to McGinn down the right hand side. He will whip it in again. Up and away by Haaland, having to do a bit of defending as Onana recycles it back to Camera. And he'll have to go all the way back to Martinez. As Jorgen Strand Larsen is on the penalty spot for Wolves. We have a goal for the Vitality to tell you about as well. It's all happening at the moment. But Wolves have a chance to cut their deficit. They take on Martin Dubravka in the Burnley goal against Jorgen Strand Larsen. The Wolves number 9 to cut the deficit in half for Wolves. Jorgen Strand Larsen steps up and scores for Wolves. Really nice finish into the bottom right corner, and that has halved the deficit. They're not going down without a fight. It is Wolves 1, Burnley 2 at Molineux. Here come Manchester City. Bob down the right side. Has to work it back to Matheus Nunes. I think I've been impressed by the way Villa have defended, as well as the way they've attacked as well. I think they've played a really, really good game in this first half so far. Found the balance between defence and attack, and struck that balance really well so far, as Bob was blocked by McGinn and Villa clear it away. So Wolves have scored at Molineux to make it 1-2, but Bournemouth have doubled their lead against Nottingham Forest. Oh, what a finish that is from long range. Trying to see who it was that made the finish. Was it Krupe? But it is 2-0 from a long-range effort, and it is Krupe that doubles Bournemouth's lead. So it's Bournemouth 2, Nottingham Forest 0, and it is gone from bad to worse in Sean Dyche's first game in charge of Nottingham Forest, and a Forest side who are in the bottom 3, and it doesn't look like, as it stands, they will be escaping that bottom 3. Remember, West Ham lost on Friday night, their 7th defeat of the season. Nottingham Forest are on the verge of their 6th defeat of the campaign, and they would sit just a point ahead of West Ham, and as it stands, 3 points ahead of bottom of the table Wolves. They would be 3 points adrift of safety, with Fulham also losing. That would be their closest rival at the moment, Nottingham Forest. They're 2 down. Work, very much a lot of work to do for Sean Dyche. Right, back here at Villa Park, 90 seconds to go with the first 45, and a little slip there from Manchester City, allowing Villa to break away here with Watkins. He's got Rodgers for help, but Watkins on that left-hand side with Mateus Nunes in his wake. I'll hand it back to Digne, and Villa will just recycle the ball back into midfield with Onana to Ezri Konsa. Out to the right-hand side for Matty Cash, whose goal separates these two teams at the moment. Here at Villa Park, Villa deservedly leading. I think they've been by far the better team in this first half. Manchester City have struggled creating any real great chances or any real great possession in the Villa final third. Oh, that's a lovely little flick by Luca Digne. And now they're in again here. Villa goes for the early cross. It's too deep, but it will be recovered by McGinn. Dragged all the way by Vardiol, but he's worked it back to Cash. Into the midfield for Onana. Swings it out to that left-hand side for Jadon Sancho. Back to Digne. Really calm and composed from Aston Villa. 3 additional minutes at the end of this first half. Aston Villa leading by a goal to 0. At the moment, it's 1-0 to Arsenal at the Emirates. It's 2-0 to Bournemouth against Nottingham Forest. And it is 2-1 to Burnley away at Wolves. Lots of goals in our 2 o'clock games this afternoon. And it's going to be a free kick to Joe McGinn and Aston Villa. And a foul that Joško Vardiol disagrees with, as he would. It's a little shove. Yeah, it's a little cynical actually from Joško Vardiol, because he's nowhere near the ball. I mean, the ball's a good few yards away, and it's pretty simple, that one. And it is a free kick to Villa, high up on the right hand side. Opportunity to get the ball into the box. McGinn and Cash over it. 2 minutes of the first half remain. What a way it would end the first half if they could add to their lead, Aston Villa, here from another set piece. McGinn strides away. Cash will take, he will whip it in. The header was down into the mix and fired away at the back post by Bernardo Silva, but got into a danger zone. Manchester City did get it away, but it was a dangerous one possibly. Genia. Lovely little play in between the lines again from Aston Villa. Rodgers, beautifully weighted, trying to reverse it in behind for Sancho. And Donnarumma's awkward kick. It's half cleared. Watkins brought it down for McGinn. McGinn on the right-hand side of the box. McGinn whips a ball in. Scrambled away again by City with Stones. And now Savinho trying to drag them up the pitch. Finding the outlet in Haaland. Pressured and fouled by Ezri Konsa was Erling Haaland, and they take the free kick quickly. Foden under pressure, went down. Pau Torres, the other centre-back, now committing a foul. And Phil Foden, the one that was fouled, but they're back and running again. Our City, but no time to take the free kick. Half time, and it is a very good first half from Aston Villa. A first half which they've certainly dominated, been the better side, and looked the more comfortable of the two teams in the way that they're playing and their attacking play, certainly. Manchester City have struggled, really, to create any real good chances. The goal coming from a nicely worked set piece to the edge of the box and beautifully tucked home by Matty Cash to give Aston Villa the lead. It's Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0 at the break. Right, elsewhere, it is half-time at the Emirates to tell you about the league leaders Arsenal are 1-up at the break. Let's bring you all the action from our score screen. And we have a goal to tell you about, by the way, and it's Caoimhan Molyneux. Can you believe it? It is a complete and utter turnaround. From 2-0 up, it's back to 2-2. Wolves have levelled in this game. Can you believe it? When it looked like Wolves were down and out of this game completely, and looking like they were hanging on to not make it embarrassing, it's Marshall Munetsi that heads in past Dubravka, and from a 2-goal lead for Burnley, it's got all the way back to 2-2. And bottom of the league Wolves have something to cheer about right now. Wolves 2, Burnley 2. Maybe it isn't D-Day for Wolves after all. Maybe there is still some positivity hanging around. That is the only game as it stands at the moment that is still playing. All the other games have gone to half-time. Arsenal leading by a goal to 0 against Crystal Palace. Eberieza's goal, the difference there. Bournemouth 2-up against Nottingham Forest. Marcus Tavernier and Eli Junior Krupe have the 2 goals there for Bournemouth, and Villa lead by a goal to 0 against Manchester City in our feature game. Matty Cash's goal it separates the two sides as we see the final embers of this first half at Molyneux and Wolves all the way back from 2-0 down back to 2-2. What a first half at Molyneux, and 100% game on between those two teams now. A big 3 points on the line there for those two. Both battling relegation, both in that mix down towards the bottom. And both know this could be a big result, but it is half-time just gone there at Molyneux. And it is all square from 2-0 down, back to 2-2. And it is half-time. Right, we'll take a quick break. We'll analyse all of the games and all the action, plus our feature game as well. And what's to come at 4:30 as well. All that's to come in just a few minutes. Do stay with us. Sure, one last kick. This is going to be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal! Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me! That is absolutely unbelievable! Race again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible! Welcome back to Premier League Live, half-time in all of our games that kicked off at 2 o'clock this afternoon. But here in our feature game, it is Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0 at the brick. Matty Cash's goal, the difference between the two sides in that first half, and certainly a big gap between the two sides in terms of their first half performances. Villa were quite fantastic in that first half, really crisp pass and really threatening with those balls in behind, the touches, really good play from Aston Villa, and their goal coming from a set piece. For Manchester City, they've looked a little jaded, considering, as I said, they had 2 days of extra rest on Aston Villa. Of course, both sides involved in Europe during the week, but it looks like Aston Villa played on Tuesday and Manchester City played on Thursday rather than the other way around. But it has been Villa's first half, certainly. But they probably would have felt they could have been further ahead than just the one goal at the break, but it is 1-0 to Aston Villa against City at the break. Right, we'll analyse the first half here, and then we'll go round the grounds and tell you about what's happened elsewhere in the games that have also kicked off at 2 o'clock this afternoon. But we talk about Aston Villa, and I said early in the season it is going to be a tough season for Aston Villa, and I was wrong, because it was a tough start, but it's actually completely turned on its head. I don't know what has happened with Aston Villa, what they've figured out in the last few weeks, but whatever it is, it has worked fantastically for them, and they've been on a great winning run, as I said, in the Premier League. 3 wins in a row, back to back wins in the league is a really good turnaround after what was a really poor start, as we know, to the league campaign. No wins in their first 5 league games for Aston Villa, so it was certainly a real poor start to the season, but they've turned it around massively, and some big results in there. You know that. I think the biggest result of their season so far was their last Premier League game. Away at Spurs, a tough place to go. New manager Thomas Frank doing really well. Going 1-0 down so early. Every context of that game was Villa should not win this. Never mind about drawing it, they shouldn't win it, certainly. And they did. They found a way back. They came back into the game. And they were by far the better side in that game, eventually against Spurs. And I think today it's similar again. They've been much the better side, and ultimately it comes down to one set piece that's difference in terms of the scoreline, but it very easily could be more. I think John McGinn had a chance that was put wide, that was deflected wide. I think they've had a number of other chances, obviously, including the goal, but I'm talking about the other opportunities they've had have actually been really threatening. And Ollie Watkins has looked a threat at times this afternoon, but really either the ball's not been there, or he just hasn't got the right connection to it, or the crosses have been a threat as well. So I think Villa have been much the better team in terms of their productivity and their ability to get the ball towards the box. It's now the next step of trying to test the Manchester City goalkeeper a lot more. In terms of the balance of things, Villa had 6 shots, City had 3 in that first half, but both had a shot on target. And that's where Villa will need to try and up their tempo and up their level in the second half. They want to go on and win this and add a second to that level, is they need to test the goalkeeper more. That's the only negative I would say about the first half from Aston Villa's point of view, that they probably could be further ahead. And I think from Manchester City's point of view, they will know they didn't play well. They will know that, yeah, that wasn't a great first half from us, but we can come back in the second half and go, well, this is what we need to improve on. And also, we're only a goal down. There is definitely a path back into this game for Manchester City. But I think for Villa, they need to be more accurate in the final third, and when they get there, they certainly need to test Gianluigi Donnarumma a lot more. For Manchester City, they just need to be better all round. Their passing was short and sloppy. I think even when they did get further forward, they were really lethargic when they got towards the final third. There wasn't much creativity. They weren't creating much room. They weren't dragging people out of position. It looked a little bit like, give it to Savinho and he can run at someone, or give it to Phil Foden, he can try and work it towards the edge of the box. There wasn't much more invention of well, you move here and he moves here, and we try and drag them out of position and create this space in behind and a late runner into the box. That's what Man City are all about. Dragging people out of positions, making the opposition make a mistake by the way that you're playing, and so far Manchester City haven't really done that at all. But credit to Aston Villa, their performance has been top tier, and I think they more than deserve a lead at half time. In terms of the other games, so it is Villa 1, City 0 at the break, but we have 3 other games that we're keeping an eye on this afternoon. At the 2 o'clock kickoffs. We'll start at the Emirates. Arsenal, league leaders Arsenal taking on Crystal Palace. 2 very good sides. A Crystal Palace side that have pulled the wool over quite a few teams' eyes this season and have actually been pretty good, but not a good run of form for them in their last couple. Actually, their last league win was at home against Liverpool at the end of September, without a league win this month so far. 2 games they've played, and they lost and drew the other. A 2-1 defeat away at Everton and a 3-3 draw with Bournemouth. But Crystal Palace come into this one with renewed hope that they can find a way back, but they trail at the break. Ebere Eze, the former Crystal Palace player. You know, when a player plays against their former team, you know that they're probably going to have a big chance at the very least against their former club. Never mind, more often than not, always score a goal against their former team. But Ebere Eze is the man for Arsenal, quite emphatically, quite kind of acrobatically finding the back of the net for Arsenal. And they lead at the break, but not much between the sides in the first half. 3 shots apiece. A very low XG rate of 0.11 for Arsenal, 0.09 for Palace. So a lot of defending going on, but not much attacking action in that game. But Arsenal have that advantage at the break, certainly, and that extends their lead at the top of the table to 4 points ahead of Bournemouth, who jump up to second with their half-time lead. And that's where we'll go next, to the Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth 2 to the good at the break there. Marcus Tavernier scoring directly from a corner to give Bournemouth the lead. They weren't happy about it, Nottingham Forest. They didn't think it was a corner in the first place, but that's not reviewable, of course. Eli Junior Krupe then doubled Bournemouth's lead to give them its second goal. Long-range effort tucked into the bottom left corner past the Forest goalkeeper Matt Sells. Not a great start to Premier League managerialship under Nottingham Forest tenure for Sean Dyche, and they trail by 2-0 at the break. But it is a dramatic first half at Molineux between Wolves and Burnley. Burnley crashed into a 2-goal lead. Zion Fleming with both goals set up by Kulandishi Hartman, who set up both goals, and it was 2-0 to Burnley after 30 minutes. Jorgen Strand Larsen then got a penalty in the 42nd minute to get one back for Wolves, before in the 49th minute of the first half, Marshall Munetsi headed in an equaliser, and it got Wolves all the way back into it in that relegation 6-pointer between Wolves and Burnley. 2 sides towards the bottom of the table, and Wolves that I knew if it was a big defeat this afternoon at home against Burnley, another newly promoted side, it surely would be a confirmation of what would be a very difficult season for them. But they have got all their way back, and they could be trying to battle for all 3 points into the second half. And speaking of second halves, second half at Villa Park between Aston Villa and Manchester City is on the way in a few minutes. Do stay with us. Your one last kick. This is gonna be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this, and Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions, and there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a 4th, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Race again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. welcome back to Premier League Live half-time in all of our games, and you can see the score lines on your screen there on Sensational Sunday. It's a great little name that we've come up with. Here's all of our scores from Sensational Sunday so far. 4 games at half-time. Arsenal 1 up against Palace. They've just started the second half there at the Emirates. It's 2-2 good for Bournemouth at the break. Villa leading by a goal to nil in our feature game. And it is Wolves 2, Burnley 2 at the break there at Molineux. The second halves and all of those games coming up in just a second. And certainly Villa against Manchester City, a very interesting one at the moment. Remember, we'll have team news from the late game between Everton and Spurs, a 4:30 kickoff. And we'll have team news there in around about 10 minutes' time. Right, let's get back to Villa Park. It is 1-0 to Aston Villa at the brick there. Should be heading back out in any second because the half-time should be over. And they are just heading back out onto the pitch from the tunnel. And Arsenal, as we can see here in this screen, leading by a goal to nil. They're the only game that's back underway for the second half at the moment. And Arsenal, with that goal lead, as I said, they extend their lead at the top of the table and take firm grip of the top spot. It would be their 7th win of the season. It will be 7 wins out of 9, 22 points, 4 points clear at the top. And they would be, as it stands, with City losing, they would be 6 clear of Manchester City and 7 clear of Premier League champions Liverpool. After Liverpool's 4th successive defeat, it would put them 7 points clear of the champions. So Arsenal would be in a very comfortable position if they were to win this afternoon. Right, we're about to get underway as some of the stragglers still coming back onto the field. We still got our groundsmen on the field, or someone plodding at the pitch. And they're just going to leave the field to play. It's about bloody time. No hurry. You can dander off as slow as you would like. Don't worry, we've not got a Premier League game to play here. As we're back underway here at Villa Park. He was literally dandering off the pitch. He wasn't in a hurry at all. He didn't care one bit. As we're back underway here at Villa Park then. Aston Villa leading by a goal to nil, kicking towards the Holt end in the second half. Remember, they're on a 2-game winning run in the league at home against Manchester City or Aston Villa. And a 3-game league winning run at the moment. So they're in a good run of form, or Aston Villa. It would be a great turnaround. No wins in their first 5 league games, and then if they win this afternoon, it would be 4 successive wins, which would be a great turnaround of form and results. And if they do win today, Villa, it would put them up to 7th in the table, and they would sit just a point behind Manchester City. So it would be a real turn-up for the books, and they would be level on points with league leaders Liverpool. Here's Savinho trying to work it towards the box, cleared away by Aston Villa. There's a player down in Villa colours, and the referee's just going to stop it. It's Ollie Watkins who's down. He's just slowly getting back to his feet. The referee doesn't stop the game. It's the crowd are not happy with as Watkins slowly gets back to his feet. Cheered by the away crowd, quite sarcastically. Ball out to the right hand side here. Bob. Nicely seen away by Luca Digne. Good bit of defending there. Ollie Watkins arguing that the referee should have stopped the game and didn't. See this again. What actually happened? Ooh. Well, that's surely a foul. Anyway, here's a chance for City. Shot deflected by from Foden. Will be a corner. And we showed they showed the replay of that foul on Ollie Watkins, and it was a foul. But we see this again from City. Break down the right-hand side. They work it nicely towards Foden, who strides onto his left in the box. And the shot was blocked. Corner. Whipped in by Foden. Header is off target, and there's a Villa player down. And the referee calls for a corner as Onana gets back to his feet. Let's see it again, what happened with Onana. Oh, just one of those, he's just kind of in the way, really, of Diani Rounders. Not much there as Onana is okay. Another corner for City, right-hand side, delivered too deep as Rodgers clears. And Villa will get a free kick as there was a foul on Matty Cash in the box. Oh my goodness, Arsenal have had 3 huge chances to double their lead against Crystal Palace. Relentless from the Gunners and unable to find that second goal. But it is 1-0 to Arsenal and they're pushing for a second. And there's a stat for you. They have already had a higher, triple the amount of XG in the second half alone than they did in the first half, Arsenal. That's crazy, and they've only played a few minutes. Already more goal-mouth action there. But no goals to update you on as it stands from the 4 games that are all back underway. Here come Manchester City. Good run by Rounders. Got a bit selfish, went himself, and dragged the ball wide of the left post. Goal kick. Well, here's a stat for you. I said about how it would be a turn up for the books for Aston Villa to turn their season around from the first 5 games to the last 4. Well, after a 5-game winless start in the Premier League this season, Villa have since won each of the last 3 league games. The only team in top flight history to have a 5-game winless start, then win their next 4 games, are Preston, who did it in 1936-37. If Villa win today, they would add their name to that very, very, very short list of just would it be 2 teams that have done that. Surprised it's not more than that, but that is a cracking stat, that is. Nunez with a deep cross, floated in the air and gathered by Emi Martinez ahead of Erling Haaland. He distributes it wide to Jadon Sancho. Onana works it back to Pau Torres. Onana, Torres, Martinez. Going long. Trying to find Rodgers. Nicely blocked there by City, but again loose as they try and bring the ball down out of the visitors, and Villa able to retrieve. Here is Boubacar Kamara. And to Onana. Just seems like when City are trying to take the ball under control, it just seems like Villa have bodies in the way and are able to get to the ball quicker and win it back more sharply than Manchester City at the minute. Nicely held on to by Onana, finding it out wide to Sancho. He's got Digne for company on the overlap. Sancho wants to go himself, seen away from the box, but he keeps possession. Now works it out wide to Luca Digne. Go for the cross, blocked by Matheus Nunes, and behind for a Villa corner. So keep an eye on all the rest of the game, still all the same score lines. As Aston Villa have another corner in this one. This will be their 4th corner of the game for Villa. Yet to have a shot in the second half so far. Aston Villa. City have had 3, but none of them on target. Here's a cross into the box. Another shot! Blocked by from McGinn's effort. That was a great delivery. And McGinn strode onto it, had the shot, and it was blocked in there. That was a great chance. City get away with it. Great bit of defending. I'm trying to. I couldn't see who blocked it, but it was a City player who stopped John McGinn's effort. McGinn, who came close to adding a second in the first half with that shot that was deflected by John Stones behind. And his backside deflected it behind for the corner, but he's had one or two good chances, the Villa captain, so far in this one. Here's Reinders, trying to find it towards Bernardo Silva, but again, very poor possession there. His camera lays it down the right side. Watkins on the run, and he goes down, wanting a foul, and gets a foul. Tiani Reinders going to be entering the referee's book for that challenge. You see it here again. Really good touch. Really good touch by Ollie Watkins. Really smart, just to take it away from Tiani Reinders. And then Reinders just slightly muscles his way into the man, takes him off balance, and it is a foul. And a yellow card for Tiani Reinders, second of the season, stopping a promising attack. As Villa take the free kick short, down the right hand side it comes, trying to make it work, but run into trouble. Here's Oscar Bob. Right on, laid off to Reinders, spreads it out to the right side for Bernardo Silva, still in their own half here, City. They go all the way back to Ruben Dias. Finds Vardiol. Remember, as it stands, not only Villa's great record that's going to be continuing, it would be an end to a 9-game unbeaten streak if Aston Villa win here this afternoon for Manchester City. 9 games unbeaten since that, been back-to-back defeats at the start of the season. And match day 2 and match day 3 away at home to Spurs, and away to Brighton. If you remember those games, that's the last time Manchester City lost in all competitions. Here's Ruben Dias, striding forward, trying to find an option. Lays it off to Nunes. Now down the right hand side comes Bob. Back inside to Matheus Nunes. Has to go back to Ruben Dias and now Tiani Reinders. Again, Villa really compact out of possession. No room for City to try and threaten. I have to say the defensive shape of Aston Villa in the first half was quite fabulous, and once again in the second half, even when City do find a little gap, they're just evading it time and time again and eradicating those options. Villa out of possession. They've been quite fabulous today so far. Here's Phil Foden, well challenged again by Onana. It's one back though by Matheus Nunes. He's no forward options, reverses it back to Ruben Dias. 11 minutes gone in the second half. Aston Villa lead by a goal to nil. Matty Cash's goal, and again City are trying to fight back to find that equaliser. Villa's solid defensive shape is not giving them much joy at the moment. Vardiol with a cross, and that was quite a telegraphed cross, hoofed well wide. As we see this John McGinn opportunity again, great delivery from the corner, absolutely stunning delivery by Matty Cash, I think it is, and striding onto it was McGinn, and the block comes in off the right boot of Bernardo Silva, and again onto the backside of a City defender in Ruben Dias this time, that makes the double block. That's a lovely little combination. Here's Digne down the left hand side with Watkins. Digne plays it back inside to Sancho, who runs into trouble with Oscar Bob, and Oscar Bob battling really well against Sancho. Bob comes away with the ball, striding away from challenges, but Onana had the better of him on that occasion. Although Ezri Konsa, loose ball forward. Here's a chance for Manchester City. Savinho tried to fire it across, but Ezri Konsa made up for his earlier mistake. Puts it behind for the corner. Yeah, a little bit of pressure from City. A little bit sloppy from Villa as that force ball forward by Konsa was to no one really. And then City had an opportunity where they had space, an opportunity to find a way behind Villa. And Ezri Konsa does well to recover and put it behind for the corner. Left-footed delivery, an outswinger from the corner, headed up and away by Onana. Back out to the left side, Foden retrieves. Savinho lays it back off to Matheus Nunes. Savinho again. Nunes again. McGinn tries to win it back, but Nunes holds him off well. Finds it out wide to Foden. 3 City players in the centre of the 18-yard box. Trying to work an angle was Savinho, but again well blocked off by Matty Cash. Behind for another City corner. Looks like they're going to make a raft of changes here, City. A triple change incoming for Pep Guardiola's team. They trail at this moment in time by a goal to nil. They've looked a little sharper in the second half. Off the ball in, the header is off target from Diaz. Vardiol will whip it back in. Headed away by Cash. And the follow-up is struck. And then again. And cleared over the line. Or over the bar by Pau Torres. My goodness me, that was close for City. Villa hanging on here at the moment. We see this again. It's from a corner. It's cleared away. It comes out to the right side. Vardiol whips it back in. Not a great header by Matty Cash on that one. It's fizzed back to Savinho. 1 effort, then 2. He gets at the goal, left-footed, going across, and Pau Torres could have easily poked that into the back of his own net. But he pokes it over the top of the crossbar, and he needed to. Otherwise, that could have been an equaliser for Man City. 2 very big bits of defending from 2 very good Savinho chances. That has denied Manchester City a leveller. But they've got another corner. Left-footed delivery. Whipped in. The header is over the bar by Joshua Vardiol. And now we will see the triple changes. So John Stones is going to be coming off. And Nico O'Reilly's going to be replacing him. Bernardo Silva's going to be coming off. And he's going to be replaced by Nico Gonzalez. And Oscar Bob is going to be coming off, and he's going to be replaced by Jeremy Doku. So a triple change there for City. Stones, Bernardo Silva and Bob all off. O'Reilly, Gonzalez and Doku all on. Ringing out the changes is Pep Guardiola, and hoping to see a differing result from his players in the final 30 minutes to the one that he's seen in the last hour or so of this game. Here comes Luca Digne for Villa. Out wide to Sancho. Bit of space, but not many options. Has to work it back to Onana. And now Camara. Gotta say, Camara and Onana have run the show today. Cash in behind here. A chance to get the ball across. And Watkins was in the middle. Had to be headed behind for the corner. That was wonderful again from Aston Villa. Great ball in behind by Cash, I think it might be, is it? Ball teased across the 6-yard box by Morgan Rogers. And Watkins was in the middle, and Ruben Diaz had to head it away and behind for the corner. But that was a big moment for Aston Villa. Now they have a corner. The next goal in this game will be huge. City have had a good spell of chances to try and level. And now Villa have come right back up the other end to try and add a second. Corner, right hand side. Luca Digne over it. Lots of bodies in and around the 6-yard box. Left-footed delivery by Digne, across the front post, headed away by Haaland. Brought down by Camara. Laid off to McGinn down the left-hand side. Works it back inside. Has to go back to Boubacar Camara. Across to Cash, who fires one forward again. This one plucked out of the air by Luca Digne, but it's not kept alive for Aston Villa. It's a great bit of skill to take it down in the first place, but he just couldn't keep the possession, the Frenchman. And now here come Manchester City. Here's Nico O'Reilly to Nico Gonzalez. Back to O'Reilly. And down the left-hand side comes Doku. Here is Jeremy Doku up against Cash. Doku takes on his man, cuts it back for O'Reilly in the box. A little bit hesitant. Didn't want to make a decision, and now Villa might want to spring a counter. Here's John McGinn. Bursting away and brought down, wanting a foul. He's going to get one. And Nico Gonzalez is going to get a yellow card. Only on the pitch, and he's already in the referee's book. Nico Gonzalez. Now look at that change of things in the second half. It's been all City really. 7 shots, 1 on target. 60% possession. Compare that to the first half where it was quite the opposite. Villa had just 1 shot in the second half. Nico Gonzalez just a little bit sloppy there. Just not to the pace of the game, and he's already got himself a yellow card. His second of the season. Here is Tiani Rounders. No updates from around the ground. Still 2-2 in the Wolves-Burnley game. Still 1-0 to Arsenal against Crystal Palace. And Bournemouth still 2 up against Nottingham Forest in our sensational Sunday of action here on this the 2 o'clock kickoffs. And still 1-0 to Aston Villa here against Manchester City. We'll update you, of course, if anything changes in those games. We will be the first to let you know. Here's Joshua Vardiol. Well, fed down the left-hand side. Here for Nico O'Reilly, trying to cause problems. Matty Cash hanging on to it, and Konsa does well to get it back to Matty Cash. Konsa clears it away. Taken down by John McGinn. Wide on the right side in his own half, and he does well to win a throw in there off Jeremy Doku. You know, a big free kick opportunity for Wolves at Molineux. Oh, it's hit the crossbar. Goodness me. John Arias with the free kick opportunity, and he smashes the underside of the crossbar and comes out. Big opportunity for Wolves to try and take the lead, and they couldn't do so. Off the crossbar and out. Burnley incredibly lucky that it wasn't 3-2 to Wolves. Still 2-2. See a replay at the Emirates. Arsenal thought they'd doubled their lead, but they hadn't. And there's a head injury issue. Oh my goodness me, Gabriel's absolutely smashed the right post there. Oh, that's not nice at all. He's completely took a full whack of the right post there, Gabriel. Oh, he's up on his feet again, but that is a painful one. So Arsenal tried to add a second. Here come Manchester City. Ball into the box, cleared away by Pau Torres. John McGinn's kept that one in play, but he's outnumbered down that right-hand side. I gotta say, these games are hanging fairly in the balance, a few of them. The only game that really isn't is Bournemouth against Forest. It's a 2-goal lead, but every other one is either level or a 1-goal lead. Here comes City down the left. Jeremy Doku trying to push against Cash again, and got the ball across, but the deflection from Cash takes it behind for the corner. Palace had a little bit of a threat there. David Raya coming up and claiming. Off the head of Eddie Nketiah, goodness me. That was very close. Great goalkeeping. Right, corner to Manchester City. They've racked up the corners, these two in the second half. This is the 8th corner of the half, the 6th for Manchester City, and it's brought down. Cleared away by Villa as they try and spring away on the break. Here's Sancho, he's got Watkins for company. Finds Ollie Watkins, takes it away from his man. Here's Rodgers now. Lots of City players. Back to Watkins. And now back to Camara. As Villa, and no real rush. As here is Cash. Now Boubacar Camara. It's really good from Sancho and Rodgers to spray the ball up the field and get Villa into a promising position. Here's Sancho. To Onana. Back to Pau Torres. Onana. Konsa. Cash. Down the right side is McGinn. Under pressure. Fends off O'Reilly and Doku. And finds Camara, who switches it beautifully. Finding Sancho. Good touch by the defender there in Nunes. But Sancho's still in. Sancho! Balled by the keeper. Saved by Donnarumma, who denies Jadon Sancho. But he bundled it first time there, Donnarumma. Out into the path of Sancho. We'll see this again. A bit of a deflection from Matheus Nunes as the ball comes down. Sancho keeps it at the byline. He has a go at Donnarumma first time. That's blocked and saved, but he parries it right back out to the path of Sancho, who has another go at it, and it forces a good save out of Donnarumma once more. That was as close as Aston Villa have come to a second goal in this second half. And it still remains a 1-0 to Villa. Reminder, no changes to the scorelines in any of our games in the second half so far on Sensational Sunday here on LFS. Arsenal still 1-up against Palace. Still 1-0 to Villa here at Villa Park. 2-0 to Bournemouth against Forest. And it's Wolves 2, Burnley 2 at Molineux. Any changes, we'll tell you. 20 to go here at Villa Park. Villa 1, City 0. Matty Cash the scorer of that first half goal from Aston Villa. City have been in the ascendancy in the second half, but in the last moment or so, Aston Villa have had their best chance of this second half to try and add a second goal, as Doku just about keeps it in play. Vardiol back to Foden. Nicely fed by Gonzalez, out to Doku on the left hand side. Doku tiptoeing towards the box, finds Phil Foden. Foden trying to work an angle for a cross, finds Haaland, whose header is right at Emi Martinez. 2 chances for Haaland today. Both comfortably stopped by the Aston Villa goalkeeper. That's nice. He won back by City again, though. Doku causing problems once again. Has Nico Gonzalez, who lifts it towards the box. Away by Konsa. The bouncing ball is just scrambled away by Aston Villa. City really in the ascendancy now. Ruben Dias. Gonzalez. Lays it off to Vardiol. Out to the left-hand side comes Doku. John McGinn's dropping in alongside Morgan Rodgers to help out defensively for Villa. Here's Nunes. Gonzalez back to Stones. Or not Stone, Diaz, sorry. Out to the right-hand side comes Savinho. Not going for the one-on-one, finding Nunes. City just waiting for the right moment to try and find any sort of gap of space. Here's Gonzalez, who will have a shot. Blocked by Pau Torres. And no way out for Aston Villa at the minute. They wanted a foul there, they're not going to be giving it for that. And there's just no way for Aston Villa to break away. That's a lovely ball round the corner from Foden. Finding Doku up against Cash. Doku beats his man for pace, but the cross stood up and caught by Emi Martinez. still all the same around the grounds. Bournemouth looking to add to their 2-goal advantage against Forest. But it is still 2-0 there at the moment. Not a good start to Premier League terms under Sean Dyche for Nottingham Forest, it seems, away at the Vitality, and Bournemouth looking to continue what has been an unbelievable start to their season, their best start to a Premier League season in their history. As it stands, the way things are going, Bournemouth would be up to second in the table, just 4 behind Arsenal. Sunderland would be in third, and Manchester City would drop to fourth. United would be in fifth, and Liverpool would be in sixth. This is a topsy-turvy top of the table, by the Arsenal who lead the table. But other than that, it is a real kerfuffle in between those sides around about the top 8 at the moment. Double substitution here from Aston Villa at this moment in time, and that's not a good call for Jadon Sancho. He's off after coming on in the first half for the injured Emi Buendia, but he's not going to continue. So Evan Gerson is on in his place, and Ross Barkley has replaced John McGinn. So McGinn and Sancho off, and Evan Gerson and Ross Barkley on for Aston Villa. Some fresh legs for Unai Emery. Here's Ollie Watkins. Always looked a threat today in moments for Aston Villa. Just hasn't been able to add his name to the score sheet just yet. But he has been a threat, lurking. And City are going to make a change in a moment. They're going to bring Tiani Reinders off, and Ryan Cherky is going to be coming on. Of course, Cherky got injured, but he is back and fit, and he will be involved for the final 15 minutes or so of this game. That's a lovely little combination there between Barkley and Watkins, and a lovely ball in behind. Here's Ollie Watkins trying to get round the keeper, and Donnarumma did just enough to put Ollie Watkins off, but that was a big chance. I said he's been a threat lurking, and that was his big opportunity. Ross Barkley, lovely through ball. Ollie Watkins, one-on-one with Gigi Donnarumma. Had a lot of work to do, and Donnarumma did really, really well. Watkins tries to take it around him. Doesn't really get a touch on the ball, and Donnarumma just comes crashing out and puts Ollie Watkins off. That was a big chance. That's a lovely little footwork from City again and then around the box. But Digne trying to clear it away. And there was an offside flag up against Man City that is going to bring that attack to an end. Well, Luca Digne isn't in a good way at the moment. He's down. See it here. Ooh. It's really clumsy from Nico Gonzalez. He comes clattering right into Luca Digne. He's already on a yellow card. He is a little bit like that, Nico Gonzalez. He's not the cool, calm, collected customer that Rodri is. I mean, no one's as good as Rodri, but Nico Gonzalez, he looks like a firework. Just completely out of control at times, and he would give you heart palpitations if you're a Man City fan anyway, but on that occasion, no damage done, but he is on a yellow and has to watch himself. Oh, handball here, surely. Ollie Watkins still having the better of his man in Ruben Dias, but looked like Ruben Dias handled the ball there. And that's what Ollie Watkins is complaining to the referee about. But Michael Oliver having no issue with it, although Villa are going to get a free kick here. As again, Gonzalez committing a foul. He really is on thin ice at the moment, Nico Gonzalez. And he's actually not long on the field, remember it. He was brought on in the 61st minute, so just 15 minutes ago. He's already on a yellow card, and he's already putting in some more big challenges. The referee will keep an eye on him. Cherky finding Gonzalez, back to Silva, trying to squeeze it through the lines. There was Vardiol, cleared away again by Villa. Here's Evan Gerson, first real action of the game, down the right side. Can he find a way through? He can't, but he does really well to win a throw in there, Evan Gerson. And Villa have a throw down the right side. Right, Arsenal still leading Palace by a goal to nil, but Palace with a corner that's headed over the bar. Wolves 2, Burnley 2. Wolves have come very close to taking the lead in that game. Remember, they were 2-0 down at bottom of the table, Wolves against Burnley, but they're back to 2-2. Could have been 3-2 up when who was it that hit the bar? John Arias, that's his name. He hit the crossbar from a free kick that could have given Wolves the lead, but it's still 2-2. And Bournemouth are still 2 up against Nottingham Forest. 2 goals in the first half. The first from Marcus Tavernier from a corner, directly from a corner, by the way, and the second one from Eli Junior Krupe to double their lead. But there's a bit of drama going on at the Vitality. The referee is trying to sort 1 or 2 issues out at the moment, and he's having a chat with David Brooks at the moment. In that one, there's also an injury for Declan Rice at the Emirates. That's a concern for Arsenal. Everything else is going correctly and right for them, and the former Crystal Palace player scoring against his former club for Arsenal in Iberieza. City try and work it into the box again, away this time by Amadou Onana. A lot of defending for Aston Villa to do in the second half, but they've done it quite resolutely. I have to say their defensive shape has been really strong all afternoon for Villa. And as they try and break away there, they're going to be penalised for a foul. Michael Oliver quick to his whistle on that occasion. And Phil Foden is going to set the ball down and ready for this free kick. So we'll see what happened. It's Foden that's fouled, and Boubacar Kamara didn't do much wrong there, if I'm honest. A little soft. He had the right to win the ball. Didn't think there was an issue with that. Free kick to Man City though. 11 minutes to go of normal time. A free kick around about 35 yards out for City. Lots of options in the box. They go short on this one. Work it back to the original taker and Foden, and now feeds it out to the left side for Doku. He will whip a cross in and head it away by Aston Villa as Ross Barkley now has a chance to break away. Evan Gerson in a foot race with Foden. Gerson uses his physicality, beats off Foden, who drags him to the ground. And that's going to be a free kick to Aston Villa and a yellow card for Phil Foden, who's gone down as well, holding his ankle. And that's fabulous from Evan Gerson, who had no right to win that ball, but he did. And he won himself a free kick as well. And Phil Foden in the book for that. Yeah, we see it here. Phil Foden beaten for just pure physicality from Evan Gerson. I mean, that's a complete mix match. And I gotta say, he does drag Evan Gerson down, but it's not an area that Evan Gerson would want to be dragged down from. Let's just say that. Very delicate area. Free kick to Aston Villa, right-hand side. Off towards the box. Flicked on. Cleared away by Ruben Dias. And then the foul from Aston Villa. It's going to get City a free kick in their own half. And a yellow card brandished by the referee for Boubacar Kamara. I mean, that's terrible. I mean, Jeremy Doku dived there. It's a yellow card for Kamara, but I mean, the referee's blind. I'm sorry, but that's terrible. Some strange, weird decisions today from the referee. Some really strange decisions. Here's Ross Barkley. Looked bright since he's come on. Barkley. Played some interesting opportunistic passes. Pau Torres fires one forward, looking for his fullback in Lucadinho, who was 30 yards up the field, and goes straight out to play for a throw. Villa a little bit too aggressive on that occasion, and how it hampered the possession. There has been a total of 0 goals in the second half of all of our games. All still as they were at half time as we enter the final 10 minutes of all of those games. Here's a chance for Manchester City. Could they have the first goal in the second half? Foden blocked by the head of the Villa player, who's gone down and stayed down. Cries a handball, but it definitely wasn't handball. It whacked the face of the Villa player. Is it Onana, I think? Yeah, great ball across, bobbling for Foden and absolutely smashed off the head of Amadou Onana. Really good defending, but he got a firm whack in the face there. And he will get some treatment at the moment. So there is a stoppage at Villa Park. Still all square between Wolves and Burnley in that game at Mullen. You remember these two sides towards the bottom end of the table. Of course, it's only 9 games in, but this could be a big statement, a big result for either one of these two teams to get a big 3 points. Remember, Wolves are still without a win this season in any Premier League game. Burnley, if they come away with all 3 points, it will be a massive result in their head-to-heads against fellow relegation battlers. If they could win, it would be a 4th win of the season. A 3rd win of the season, I think it would be for Burnley. It would be, if they were to win. For Wolves, it would be their very first win of the campaign if either side could take the lead in the latter stages and carry that one home, as that's a great shot. Well saved by the Burnley goalkeeper Dubravka. It's Wolves that are in the ascendancy there. Really pushing in the last 8 minutes of that game. Wolves down the left-hand side, ball chipped into the box, and the shot is skied over the bar. Still a stoppage here at Villa Park. And we saw that Matty Cash goal again. A big goal. And a goal as it stands that would be delivering Villa all 3 points against Man City for the 3rd successive home game against them. And Amadou Onana says no to coming off. But I think Villa are going to make a double substitution anyway. And it's going to be their final 2 subs of this game. I think they will be. Is Onana coming off? I'm not too sure. But Donyell Mallon and Ian Maatsen are going to be coming on for Villa in a second. Here's Ezri Konsa. Camera down to 10 for the moment, Aston Villa. That ball's flung forward towards Evan Gerson, but far too much on that one, and it will be seen out for a goal kick. Arsenal still leading against Crystal Palace. Declan Rice did go off with an injury in that one, so that's a concern for Arsenal. Mikel Merino on in his place for the final few moments there, which Crystal Palace are threatening to try and level that game, but it is still 1-0 to the Gunners, who in the second half have looked much brighter at the start of the second half, but it's been Palace that have been pushing to try and find an equaliser, but still no breakthrough there for the visitors. As it is here, no breakthrough for the visitors just yet, but Villa are going to make a double substitution. It's going to see the end of the day for Ollie Watkins. Donyell Mallon is coming on in his place. And Luca Digne is going to be replaced by Ian Maatsen for Aston Villa. So a double substitution for Unai Emery. And that's going to be all 5 subs used for Villa, of course. They used 2 in the second half. They used 1 in the first. And those are their final 2 substitutions for Unai Emery's team. To try and hang out for a 1-0 victory. More, they would be very grateful. Oh, a ball into the box, cleared away. Again, Evan Gerson now holding it up. Shoving a City player out of the way, and Evan Gerson breaking down the right, plays a lovely ball to Barkley. Heavy touch from Ross Barkley. Lets him down, and now here come Manchester City. It's Phil Foden bursting through, trying to play Haaland in. Blocked. Another shot. Deflected and up into the hands of Emi Martinez. Some strong defending from Villa. Again, that ball from Foden should have found Haaland, but what a block. I think it's Ezri Konsa. Fabulous bit of defending. And then the follow-up, the rebounded effort, deflected off a Villa player and behind and into the hands of Emi Martinez. Doku down the left-hand side for City. 3 minutes to go. Villa lead by a goal to 0. Arsenal lead by a goal to nil against Palace. Bournemouth 2 up against Forest. It's Wolves 2, Burnley 2 in that game at Molineux. All still, a few of them still in the balance here towards the final few minutes. Here's Doku's cross. Up and away by Konsa. Battling to fight for this clean sheet of Villa. And this 3 points. Nunes' cross cleared away. Gerson as camera was brought down around the edge of the box. No foul, said the referee. Here comes City. No penetration at the moment. Nunes reverses it back to Diaz. Back to Mateus Nunes. Now Gonzalez. Vardiol. Down the left side is Doku. Hounded by Matty Cash. But Doku's still got the ball. Pokes it through the middle and a little flick by O'Reilly. Has gone right the way through to Emiliano Martinez in the Villa goal. Long clearance by Villa. First header won by Vardiol. City trying their best to get something as they've won a throw in down the left. Look at that, goodness me! Nico Gonzalez has to get that patched up. Yeah, the referee can't allow this game to go with... Jesus, it's like he's got face paint on. There's blood gushing from the nose of Nico Gonzalez. But City play on. Here's a chance, Foden across! And it's poked home by Erling Haaland, but the flag's up. No goal. Flag went up and Haaland's hurt himself. And he's hurt himself in an area. Let's just say that. Sensitive. You've got to stop this. Nico Gonzalez got to get patched up. Haaland is not okay. He's in real pain. Let's just say we all know how he feels. All male members of society. Yeah, Foden was just off. That's a great call from the assistant. Fabulous call for offside. And it bundles over the line from Haaland, but he is offside. Foden in the build, or Marmoush, sorry, in the build-up. I mean, that shouldn't have went in, nonetheless. But Haaland's really hurt himself there. He's okay to get up on his feet again, but not a nice area to be hurt, shall we say. We will have 6 additional minutes then at the end of the 90 here. 6 minutes for Villa to hold on and for City to try and find a leveller. Here's Evan Gerson down the right side. Evan Gerson battling and tussling and winning a free kick for Aston Villa. He does really well. He's played well since coming on. Evan Gerson down that right hand side and shielded the ball well, won a couple of free kicks for Villa. Just taking the sting out of this game at times, and he's done really well since coming on. There's a long ball out from the back here. Barkley made a run in behind there. Too close to Donnarumma. City have it back again. Gonzalez all patched up and cleaned up. Has the ball, but he's given it away to Camara. Finding it through to Malen, who shields the ball to the right-hand side of the sideline and the pitch, and he's won a throw-in off Nico O'Reilly. Villa managing this game well. Still 2-2 at Molineux. Wolves desperately pushing for a winner. But Burnley holding on there. Palace trying to find an equaliser against Arsenal, but again Arsenal coming up with a defensive solidity to deny them. And it is still 2-0 to Bournemouth, who are in relative comfort against Nottingham Forest, it seems, there at the Vitality at this moment in time. Here's Marmoush, charged down the right side. No time to get onto the ball. Well covered by Morgan Rogers. Goal kick to Aston Villa. Time running out for City. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Do hit that like button as well. If you've enjoyed the stream, it's been great to have your company this afternoon for this one. It's been a really positive game, really enjoyed this one. And of course, actually, player of the match is going to Amadou Onana from Sky. I would give it to Manny Cash. That's a great goal, by the way. Manny Cash been one of Villa's best players in the last few weeks. Some great moments from him. And that goal, certainly at the top of that list. Maybe second to last week's assist. That was a fabulous pass forward. Or not an assist, but a fabulous pass forward to get that winner for Aston Villa. Oh, a little bit loose here. Manchester City could be in. Here's Phil Foden across. Bit of defending. Follow-up shot blocked. Bodies on the line from Villa. Still alive. Here's Nunez. Gets a shot at goal and he skies it over the bar. All over at the Vitality. Bournemouth 2, Nottingham Forest 0 is a final score. So, a losing start to his Premier League tenureship over Nottingham Forest for Sean Dyche. Will it be a loss and an end of a 9-game unbeaten streak for Manchester City at Villa Park? And a continuation of a great winning run that Villa are on in the league. Will Arsenal extend their gap at the top, or will Palace ruin their day? Or can either Wolves or Burnley win the game at Molineux to get a massive 3 points? Free kick to Manchester City. Player down in the centre area as they've taken it quickly, City. Marmouche. Nunez. Cherky. Down the left comes Vardiol. Out wide to Doku. Time running out. 2 minutes to go. But Villa are throwing everybody they can at it to win the ball back. And Donyell Malin's won a throw-in fantastically down the right side. 6 minutes are up at the Emirates, but it's not over yet. Palace will have one more long ball, surely. Flicked into the box, headed away, and away again. As Will Hughes keeps it alive, but that is a free kick to Arsenal, I think. Right, keeping an eye on everything that's going on around the ground. Still 2-2 between Wolves and Burnley. Arsenal hanging on. If they can hang on, it'll be a big result, a massive win for the Gunners. Eberieza's goal, the difference as it stands between Arsenal and Palace. Matty Cash's goal, the difference between Aston Villa and Manchester City here at Villa Park. Just over a minute to go here at Villa Park. City desperately trying to equalise, to find a leveller, to keep this unbeaten run going and try and keep themselves on the move up the table. This result would stall their movements. Cherky's ball into the box. Flick on by Foden. Straight into the hands of Emi Martinez. All over at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Crystal Palace 0 is finished. Big result for the Gunners, who extend their lead at the top of the table. And Arsenal up to 22 points. At second place will be Bournemouth on 18 points. So a 4-point gap at the top for the Gunners. And there's a goal at Molineux to tell you about, after what has been an incredible second half where Wolves have desperately tried to win it. There is a winner, but it's for Burnley. They've been under the cosh for the whole of the second half, and Scott Parker's side from a 2-goal lead back to 2-2, and they lead 3-2 in the dying embers of that one. It's almost all over at Villa Park as well. Villa still leading Manchester City. I can tell you that Burnley are winning. It's not over yet, but Burnley have seemingly won it. Lyle Foster with the goal there, and it is all over here at Villa Park. Aston Villa, for the third successive time at home in the league, have beaten Manchester City. A record that goes back to 1975 was the last time they had a longer winning streak at home against City in the league, and they have made it 3 in a row against City at home in the league, and it's 4 in a row in terms of wins in the league after a 5-game winless start. For the first time since 1937, a team is winless in their first 5 and gone on to win their next 4, and Villa are the first team to do that in almost 90 years. Great result for Aston Villa. an end to a 9-game unbeaten streak for Manchester City. Their first defeat since the end of August in the league. And it is to the hands of Aston Villa. They don't close the gap at the top. They actually lose ground to the top of the table, as do Liverpool as well this weekend. So City and Liverpool both losing out, while Arsenal extend their lead at the gap at the top to 4 points. Bournemouth and Sunderland taking advantage, and they now go up to second and third respectively, as well as Man United as well. All over at Molineux. Wow, what a result for Burnley. 2-0 up, back to 2-2, and they win it at the death. Lyle Foster with a goal that wins it for Burnley. What an incredible, incredible afternoon of Premier League action for you. Oh my goodness. Whew. And breathe. Final score at Villa Park: Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0. But let's show you a sensational Sunday. It has been sensational so far. But what a game at Molineux, the game of the day, surely, at Molineux between Wolves and Burnley. A 5-goal thriller. 2-0 to Burnley, 2-2 when Wolves levelled it. But Burnley had the final say, and they won it at the death through Lyle Foster. And Wolves can barely believe it. The Wolves fans, the Wolves players, they dominated that second half, tried to find a winner themselves, and in the end, it is a defeat for Wolves once again. And they're still winless in the Premier League this season, are Wolverhampton Wanderers after 9 games. Wolves, detrimental. Burnley, fabulous. 10 points now they're on. All over in all of our games at 2 o'clock. And let's breathe. And let's recap them for you. Arsenal winning by a 1-0 against Crystal Palace. Former Palace player Bereyeza scoring against his former club to give Arsenal the winner. Aston Villa winning it through Matty Cash with a great goal in the first half to push Villa further up the table. Bournemouth up to second with their 2-0 victory over Nottingham Forest. A losing start in the Premier League for Sean Dyche. But a great start to the season it has been for Bournemouth, now averaging 2 points per game, which is an unbelievable start. 9 games, 18 points, and they sit second in the table. And Burnley winning by 3-2 against Wolverhampton Wanderers. So, that is 4 down, 1 to go on Sensational Sunday here in LFS. Everton taking on Spurs is a 4:30 kickoff. And those are the confirmation of all of the weekend's results so far, bar one that is still to come. Everton taking on Spurs, as I mentioned. Quick look at the table then, and how these 2 o'clockers make the difference in the table today. Arsenal remain top of the table, 22 points for the Gunners. 4-point lead on second place Bournemouth, who are unbeaten in the last 5 and have won once again this afternoon, beating Nottingham Forest by 2-0. They're on 18 points. Sunderland, what a start to the season for them, winning 3 of the last 4. An incredible start to the season for the newly promoted side, who are in third in the table on 17 points. Manchester City dropped to 4th after their defeat away at Villa. They're on 16 points. Manchester United on 16 points after their great start to the season, but 3 wins out of their last 3. Great for them. And Ruben Amorim starting to maybe get a bit of joy out of their quality and their work that they have been fighting hard for already this season. They are in the top 5. Liverpool, 4 defeats in their last 4 for the Reds. 15 points though. They're still in the mix after what has been a torrid run of form. They play Villa next, so it is a battle of 6th and 7th next Saturday night. Villa up to 7th, 15 points on a 4-game winning streak. It is Liverpool and Villa couldn't be in more opposite form at the moment, and they meet next weekend. Spurs still to face Everton, so Spurs can jump up the table. They can jump up to 3rd with a win away at Everton. And Chelsea are dropping down to 9th after their defeat to Sunderland yesterday. Palace make up the top 10 after their defeat to Arsenal, but they still remain on 13 points. Into the bottom half we go, if we can get there. Brentford's win over Liverpool yesterday means they're up to 11th. Newcastle winning as well, they're up to 12th on 12 points. Brighton beaten yesterday as well. but they're on 12 points. Everton on 11. They can jump up into the top half. Everton with a win at home against Spurs. Leeds moving up the table with their win on 11 points. Burnley on 10 after their big victory. Back-to-back victories for Burnley in as many weeks. Fantastic for Burnley at the moment on 10. Fulham on 8 after their 4th successive defeat for Fulham. Not great for Marco Silva's team. They're in 17th on 8 points, and then a gap to the bottom 3. We've all lost again this weekend. Forest losing away to Bournemouth, West Ham losing away to Leeds, and Wolves losing at home to Burnley. Dismal for those bottom 3. Wolves still without a win as well on that list. Wow, but what a set of 2 o'clock kickoffs for you. Villa winning, Arsenal winning, a big result for Burnley on the road against Wolves, and a big result for Bournemouth as well. Fantastic set of games. We cannot wait for this to be coming around again. I love this. It's fantastic. Thanks for your company. Villa get the job done for the 3rd successive season against Man City. An incredible run, a generational run for Villa against Manchester City. Bye-bye.